The punch came before the scream. His fist collided with my jaw so fast I barely saw it coming. My head snapped to the side, a burst of white pain flashing through my vision as I stumbled back, my palms hitting the cold tile floor of the hotel room. The smell of cheap perfume and sweat burned my nose, and in that moment time fractured, split between the before and the after. Before, my wife, Emma, laughing about a work conference in the city, her fingers brushing my cheek as she kissed me goodbye. After, Emma, standing frozen beside the bed, a towel clutched to her chest, her lover, a man I had never met, breathing hard, eyes blazing with something primal and unrepentant. I tasted blood, and yet the sting wasn't just physical. It came from the sight of her. The tremor in her lip, the way she looked at me. Not in fear, not even in regret, but in shock that I was standing there. "Daniel, please," she whispered, voice trembling. I didn't answer. I just stared. The towel slipped slightly, revealing a glimpse of her shoulder, the same one I'd kissed every morning before work. That shoulder had been mine in a way I thought was sacred. Now it looked alien. The man, tall, muscular, maybe mid-30s, stepped between us, his hand still clenched. "You shouldn't be here," he said, like I was the one who had trespassed. Something inside me cracked. "That's my wife," I said quietly. "Not anymore," he spat, and before I could even process it, he swung again. This time I ducked. My hand shot up instinctively, grabbing his wrist, twisting it until he groaned and dropped to one knee. I'd boxed in college. Muscle memory came roaring back. My knuckles found his jaw in a single, fluid motion. He hit the floor hard, groaning. Emma screamed, rushing forward, but I stopped her with a single look. "Don't," I said, my voice low, shaking not from fear, but from rage. I wish I could say I stormed out then, that I left with dignity. But betrayal has a strange way of paralyzing you. You want to burn everything, scream until your lungs collapse, but your body moves in slow motion, like it's trapped between disbelief and fury. She tried to speak, to explain, to justify. It wasn't supposed to. Save it. Her mouth closed, tears pooling in her eyes. For the first time in our 10-year marriage, I saw her not as my partner but as a stranger, someone who had chosen to wound me deliberately. I turned toward the man on the floor, groaning. His phone buzzed beside him, the screen lighting up with a text. "Room service will be up in 10. The absurdity of it almost made me laugh. "You picked a classy spot," I muttered. When I left the hotel, my reflection in the glass doors stopped me cold. A small cut bled on my chin, my eyes were wild, and my tie was crooked. I looked like a man who'd just had his world detonated, and I had. The drive home was a blur. Streetlights smeared across the windshield like tears. Every red light gave me time to think, and thinking was the last thing I wanted to do. By the time I reached our house, the anger had shifted into something colder, sharper. Revenge wasn't the plan, it just became the plan. The next morning, Emma was waiting at the kitchen table. She looked wrecked, eyes swollen, hands trembling around a mug she hadn't touched. "Daniel," she said softly, "we need to talk." I didn't sit down. "You cheated, Emma. What's left to talk about?" "I made a mistake," she said, voice breaking. "It didn't mean anything." "It was." "Don't." I leaned against the counter, watching her closely. "Was it just once?" She hesitated. That hesitation was my answer. I laughed bitterly. "How long?" Her silence screamed louder than any words. 6 months, she whispered finally. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of pretending. "His name?" asked. "Ryan." That name stuck in my head like poison. Ryan, as it turned out, wasn't some random fling. He was her colleague, a project manager at the firm where she worked. Married, with a newborn daughter. I could have confronted him again, but instead, I decided to dismantle him. Quietly. Methodically. He'd hit me. That punch, the blood still crusted on my chin, became my justification. I started small. I called an old friend, Mark, who worked in private investigations. He owed me a favor. Within a week I had everything. photos, timestamps, transactions, hotel bookings, work messages, even his home address. But what really caught my attention wasn't the affair. It was the fraud. Ryan had been siphoning funds from the company, covering his tracks through falsified invoices and dummy accounts. Emma had no clue, but I did now. And I knew exactly what to do with it. The police came for him 3 weeks later. It was surreal watching the news clip. Local project manager arrested on charges of embezzlement and assault. That was me. I'd filed the report days after the hotel incident, my jaw still bruised. Between that and the fraud evidence, Ryan was finished. Emma found out the same morning the story broke. I watched her crumble as she read the article, her face going pale. "What did you do?" she whispered. "I told the truth," I said simply. Her hands shook. "Daniel, he'll go to prison." I looked her dead in the eye. He should have thought about that before sleeping with another man's wife and throwing a punch. The trial took months. I showed up once, out of curiosity. Ryan avoided my gaze as he was led out in cuffs. I expected satisfaction, but what I felt was emptiness. Emma tried to fix things. She begged for therapy, forgiveness, second chances. But every touch, every word felt tainted. I couldn't even look at her without seeing that hotel room. We divorced quietly. No fights, no theatrics. Just 2 signatures on a paper that ended everything we had built. A year later, I ran into her again. At a coffee shop of all places. She looked smaller somehow. Fragile, like the guilt had hollowed her out. We talked for a few minutes. Polite. Distant. "How's Ryan?" I asked, unable to resist. She looked down. "He got 5 years. And you?" She met my gaze then. "I lost everything. You happy?" Thought about it. About the sleepless nights. The way my heart had been ripped open and stitched shut with revenge. "I don't know," I said honestly. She nodded slowly. "Then maybe we both lost." Later that night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the city lights. The anger was gone, but in its place was something worse. An ache that wouldn't fade. I'd ruined his life. I'd destroyed hers. And yet somehow I still felt broken. Revenge had given me justice, but not peace. Because peace doesn't come from punishing the guilty. Comes from letting go. And I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. I picked up my phone, scrolling through old photos. Emma laughing at the beach, her hand in mine. For a moment I almost smiled. Then I deleted them all. It was time to stop reliving the betrayal. But as I closed my eyes that night, her voice still echoed in my mind. We both lost. Maybe she was right. Because in the war between love and vengeance, there are no real winners. Only survivors left sifting through the wreckage of what once was.